Welcome back. Lots of comments, I'd like to say, on scented toilet roll, the big story of the day, on Twitter, if you want to go on that. But we're going to carry on the trans ideology theme. We've been talking about WPATH, the World Professional Association for Transgender Health. But Liz Truss, of all people, she's coming out at the moment, and she's calling on the government. She's got a back the bid to change the legal definition of sex to biological. She's trying to stop men going into female sports and female spaces. And who's here to talk about the legend? That is John Porter from Chasing Dissent, of course. How are we this morning, John? And what do we have to say about Liz Truss?
Well, Natalie, I'm actually all right, but I've got something to ask you first. Have you got a little bit of Scottish in you?
No, I haven't.
Oh, would you like some? Oh, sorry, hold on. No, sorry. Ben says shut up. Don't. Right, okay. No, I was going to say, you did really well with the toilet roll story because, I thought, she's got scented paper by mistake, but you said, I've got to work through the whole batch.
Well, I've got 2 kids as well, not just me.
So yeah, I applaud your ability to get the most out of it. Anyway, okay. Well, we're going to talk about Chucky, are we? Right. Yep. So Chucky Truss is really pretty irrelevant, isn't she? Who cares? I mean, really, who cares? Because she's not going to be anything again, is she?
Is that why that she's? Is that why that she's the one that they're doing this? I agree, John, that she is irrelevant. They do see her as that. Is that why they're getting her to be the one to put this forward so many people aren't going to back it? It makes it look like people are taking it seriously. Do you actually think the government, they're apparently going to be talking about this in the Commons on Friday. It should be debated. But I'm not sure they're going to take it seriously with this trans ideology. I mean, I agree with Liz Truss on this, everything that she's putting forward. But do you think the government and then in the Commons, they'll take it seriously?
Probably not. When did the government really take anything seriously, to be fair? Because as we always say on Chasing Dissent, government have got 2 aims. One of those aims is keep the population under control. The second aim is feather their own nest. And to me, that seems to be all the government ever does, because it doesn't really look out for us. And to be fair, it shouldn't, because they should be looking out for themselves, because we should be controlling them. But regardless of that, I think Liz Truss is trying to be relevant, but let's face it, she couldn't hold on to the top job she had. So why would anyone pay any attention to her, really?
Exactly. And I agree. I really do think that's why they've got her to put this forward. This is her quote, by the way, Rick. My bill will, for the first time, define sex in law as biological sex, thereby ending the absurd and dangerous situation where biological males, self-defining as females, can access girls' and women's toilets and so on in sports. It will provide protection for vulnerable children and teenagers who otherwise would be led down a path of making body-altering decisions that they may come to regret, while giving essential legal clarity to parents and teachers. It's hard to disagree with that in practice, isn't it?
Well, you can't disagree with it. It's common sense. That's the sad state of affairs that we're in at the minute. I mean, people are putting forward common sense as something that's deemed to be some kind of radical revolutionary kickback to what's happening in the world at the minute. The fact that men are in women's changing rooms and one thing and another, we should never even have got to this position in the first place, but it's been that slow, slippery descent to reach then, and then you've got somebody like Liz Truss who's coming out against it. And what was it, a few months ago, she launched popcorn or popular conservative. It's like, it's still conservatism, but it's the way it should be done properly. Like, whatever happened to that one? And of course, she's still picking up her tab, by the way, as an ex-prime minister. She still gets prime minister's wages until she actually retires, even though she was only in situ for around about 6 weeks. Maybe that's a story she should be focusing on, or possibly relinquishing that wage. She's not actually doing the work of a prime minister, and didn't for any more than the space of 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, to be fair, she's not wrong, and it's written. What she's saying is written, and it's written in almost every cell. I'm going to have to be specific here, because mature red blood cells and cornified cells, i.e. hair, nails, outer layer of skin, don't have any DNA in them because they get rid of the nucleus. But every other cell in your body has your blueprint in it. It's in the form of DNA in the nucleus in the cell, and that tells you with every fibre of your being that you are either a man or a woman. And it doesn't matter how much cosplaying you do, how much LARPing you do, whether you want to be whatever. You know, you can pretend to be anything you like, but ultimately when it comes down to it, you are biologically stuck in the sex that you are when you were born.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, I'm no fan. No, absolutely. I'm no fan of Liz Truss, by the way, but actually we should be getting behind this bill, shouldn't we? I mean, as we said, there's nothing in this that we disagree with. She said, I'm introducing the bill so the law of the land is clear and the loopholes are closed. And while I know all three of us aren't going to be any fan of the Tories or anything they've done, this is actually something that I can agree with for a change. But it will be interesting to see if it even gets discussed on Friday or goes down the pecking order, John.
Yeah, you're right, Nat. And the problem with our current political system is that we don't really have a say as such, because we elect people to represent us in Parliament, and then they go and do their own thing, and we don't really have a say. Maybe we should have a little bit of a direct democracy like Switzerland does. And dare I say it, even China pretends to have it, because they collect groups of people and they have, like, you know, mini referenda, and they take, allegedly, what those people say. But Switzerland does it with the big issues. They would have a referendum for this, and they'd put it out, and you'd have your ballot paper, and you'd just tick, you know, whether they should or should not take the bill. Why can't we do that? Especially in today's age of instant communication. You know, the whole thing's ludicrous. It really is. We're living in the 18th century, and we're still pretending to be a world power. So I'm quite disillusioned with government in total, and the world in particular.
But Rick, I was going to say, the Irish obviously had a referendum that we'll be talking about soon, haven't they? So why, like John said, why can't we do this in the digital era with more decisions? I can't see an issue with it.
I'll tell you why. Because the government will be crushed on it. This whole pushing of these ideologies, I believe they're magnifying it out of all proportion. It's like the Wizard of Oz. When you pull back the curtains, it's just some little guy there operating the levers. And there was a comment in the live chat, just very briefly. Nook earlier on said, have we talked about the Irish referendum yet? We will be talking about it more in detail. And in second, in Locked and Loaded today, I've got Aisling O'Loughlin coming on from Ireland. We're going to go into it in a lot of depth. But the government were crushed, absolutely crushed in the referendum over the weekend, and they had spent millions and millions of pounds promoting this, John. They had the three major political parties backing it. They had all the state-funded NGOs pushing this, and 77 to 80% of the Irish people said no to removing the word mother from the Irish Constitution and to redefine what a family actually is in the Irish Constitution. And I think if this was thrown out to a referendum, like you've pointed out, in the like of Switzerland, I think the government would be crushed on it. Hence, it won't go to a referendum because they can't afford to have that amount of egg on their faces.
Yeah, I think you're right, Rick. I mean, it's like, you know, the government don't want to lose any kind of control, and we the people enable that, because and I'm not meaning you and I or whatever, but you know the people out there, but most people just pick a party and stick with that party, and it doesn't matter what that party does. You know, they're going to vote that for the rest of their life, and you know, they're not looking at what's actually going on in the world and what really they want to take a stance on. They just go, oh well, my party says this, I'll just go along with them. You know, that's my view. I'm quite disillusioned this morning.
I can tell, but do you know what, Johnny? That is the mood of the people. A lot of people are feeling the same way. So that's what we're, you know, we've got guests on the show to come on and speak. That's the idea of TNT, to tell the truth and for people to come and give their view and how they're feeling. So we appreciate you doing that this morning. I'm sure we'll speak to you again soon, but don't forget you can follow John on Chasing Dissent podcast on YouTube, on X, or on all major streaming platforms. And we will see you soon, John. And we've got more to discuss after the break at today's News Talk.